celebrating Christmas, and because we're a church, we do a Christmas series, which is a series of conversations, messages that center on Christmas. And I love Christmas music selfishly, and I'm not saying that influenced our decision to do a series called Songs of Christmas, but I'm not saying it didn't. And I'm one of those. We are, once the Halloween candy gets finished, handed out, that's when Bing Crosby makes an entrance into our ears and our lives in the Smith family, and we start into the Christmas music right away. And we're looking at Songs of Christmas because it's very interesting. Every single year, we sing songs at the holiday season, and they all revolve around Jesus. It is this, when you think about it, people sing these songs without even knowing they're singing songs about Jesus. It is this truly unpredictable and undeniable impact of a Jewish baby being born in the Middle East 2,000 years ago that we sing songs about to this day in 21st century modern world culture. And this week, our song of Christmas is perhaps the most popular Christmas carol of all time, and it is Silent Night. You know it, I know it, we can even sing it together, but not sing it, maybe say it. Silent night, holy night. You can say it with me. All is calm, all is round yon virgin, mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. We know it. Everybody knows it. You know why you know it? Because everybody sings it. Everybody knows Silent Night. I looked it up. You know who sang Silent Night? Bing Crosby. Duh. I mean, if it's Christmas, it's Bing. Julie Andrews, not just Doe a deer, a female deer, she sang Silent Night. Some of my theater peeps caught that. Simon and Garfunkel. Yes, I'm from the South, so I probably pronounce that differently than you. The Carpenters. Boys to Men, one of my faves. Mariah Carey, Kirk Franklin, Justin Bieber. Yes, the Biebs covered Silent Night. Kelly Clarkson, for our country music fans, Reba McEntire. Trisha Yearwood. We got more for Reba, but more excited for Trisha. Pentatonics. Elvis, because, hey, there you go. Nat King Cole, my personal favorite. Enya. Some of you are like, what? Josh Groban, The Temptations. Carrie Underwood, Andrea Bocelli, and because it's Christmas time, as he emerges with his meme, Michael Bublé. Silent Night, we know the story of Silent Night, but do you know how the song came about? It wasn't silent, I can tell you that. It was unique. In fact, it was 200 plus years ago. There was a German poet. Yes, it was written in German, in case that blows your mind. It was not written in English. It was written in German because he was a German poet, and that's kind of how that works. And so when he wrote it in German. All right, we got it, right? We understand our history and languages. Great. Here we go. In 1816, he wrote this poem, and he sat on it for 2 years. And he wanted to make it a song. But as he shopped around for musicians, he couldn't find someone, and they were coming up on kind of a deadline because 2 years later, on Christmas Eve, they wanted to perform this song for the first time. But he couldn't find musicians, and so he found a local school principal. He's in Austria at the time, and at this little Austrian church, he goes in and says, I want to perform this song. And they said, well, so there was some flooding, and the organ's a little shoddy, and it's suspect, and you might play it, but it might not do what you want it to do. And she's like, what am I going to do? And somebody said, well, the local principal, guy named Franz Gruber down the road, he plays instruments sometimes for the kids. And they said, well, I gotta go meet with him. And can you imagine the trepidation, right, for Joseph Moore, the author of this poem, who tried to find musicians and then was told the local school principal can play music. And he's thinking, but can he though? Was this one of those like his family told him he was really good? You should totally try out for American Idol, Franz. Maybe not though. You can see, so he goes up to him and he says, hey man, can you do this? And Franz Gruber picks up a guitar and puts melody to words. And on Christmas Eve at this little Austrian church in 1818, the song Silent Night was performed for the first time. And here we are, 200 years later, continuing to sing that song. But it's fitting that it was a turbulent situation that surrounded the song Silent Night. But I think it's even more fitting that the story about which the song is written was anything but silent. And you and I know the story. In fact, we read it typically every December the 24th. You can go there. You can pull it out in your phone or your Bible. It's in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2. That's the chapter after chapter 1. You can pull it up. And we know this story. And we know this story because it's the Christmas story. We sing about it, Silent Night. We read, I'll tell you, in the Smith family, growing up, and we still do it now. I brought it into my relationship with Rob, and now my kids are stuck with it. We do it too. The only difference is we don't have what I had growing up, which in the South, you had what's called the family Bible. Now, this just means this was a very large Bible that got pulled out once a year. That was the family Bible, and it was huge. It was about the size of like a truck pallet. You know, it was big. You didn't have to, no glasses were required to read from this Bible. It was close to just being chiseled, the words chiseled in there, like it was that. And it was protected by like one of those Sealy Posturepedic pillow top mattress designs. I mean, they wanted this thing to live through wars, like this has got to last. And it was so big, and we would store ours under the coffee table. And every December 24th, my dad would say, Scott, go grab the Bible and read the story. And so I would, it's big, I had to stretch, I'm over there. Okay, well, let's get it. Yeah, all right. So get up. And then it's all dusty. Just brushing it off. And I would go to Luke 2, and I would read the Christmas story. And this is what I would read in Luke chapter 2. At that time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the entire Roman Empire. This was the first one of its kind when Quirinius was governor of Syria. Verse 3, all people returned to their own ancestral towns to register for this census. Because Joseph, the dad, was a descendant of King David. You've heard of him. He had to go to Bethlehem in Judea. That was David's ancient home. And he traveled there from the village of Nazareth in Galilee. Now I'm going to address something here that you may not have thought about. We hear this story of the Christmas story, and sometimes you can start poking holes and asking questions like, does it not line up? Because it says that Jesus is from Nazareth. But it just said that Jesus was going to be born in Bethlehem. And so people come at the Bible with kind of this, well, does it contradict? And I'm not sure how to make heads or tails of it. I'll explain it like this. I'm from the great state of North Carolina, hence the word y'all and the southern accent that comes out from time to time. Thank you. Somebody shouted that out. You must like biscuits like me. Thank you for shouting out. I appreciate that. I am with you. But I grew up in Virginia. So when you ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from Virginia. But I was born in North Carolina. So you get that, right? Jesus, born in Bethlehem, but from Nazareth, because that's where his dad lived. But his dad had to go back to where his family was originally from to give birth. So that's where we find ourselves in the story. And then in verse 5, what does it say? He took with him Mary, his fiancée, who was now obviously pregnant. And here's where the silent night gets not so silent. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born. That baby is Jesus, in case you're just maybe not up to speed on the Christmas story. She gave birth to her first child, a son. She wrapped him in snuggly strips of cloth, or maybe in poetic language, swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger. It sounds so sweet. It's not. Because there was no lodging available for them. Let's look at the setting here for just a moment. In this part of the world, the Roman Empire ruled everything. And so in this part of the Middle East was under the rule of the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire was a mess of mass atrocities. I'm talking immorality, debauchery, wars, division, destruction, chaos, everything you can think. Evil villains, stuff you've seen in miniseries on your streaming services. You know what's going on. You're familiar with what's going on in the Roman Empire. And what was even more than that was that Augustus, the Caesar, the ruler at the time, not only was the Roman Empire, at this point, for like 20 years, it was plagued with civil war. It was a mess. Not only that, Augustus had problems at home. Like, it's one thing to have problems at work, but you have problems at home too. You just got problems. Like, he had some family stuff going on, and Augustus was trying to do what every ruler in the Roman Empire tried to do: conquer, 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 because power came when you conquered people, places, and spaces. So what does he do? He introduces these kind of military initiatives because they wanted to overcome, conquer, and acquire. Well, military initiatives, they require dollars. So what does he do? He says, we're going to take a census. I want to know everybody who's under our rule so that everybody, catch it, can pay taxes. See, look, you came to church and you thought, man, taxes, that's a modern American problem that makes us mad. Nope. Tax has been making people mad for thousands of years. Merry Christmas. You're like, I don't want to hear that. It gets worse. So they had to travel 70 some miles. They could not Uber this. Nobody hopped in their car. There was no hybrids. There was no electric car. No, Tesla, Elon Musk did not exist. There was none of that. There wasn't even high gas prices like you and I deal with. Nope. It was, you're going to have to walk it. And we see pictures sometimes, right, in movies and stuff, and we hear Mark Lowry's Mary, Did You Know? And they're riding on a donkey, and he's walking next to her, and it's super sweet. They've got a sheep little friend that's kind of voiced maybe by, Oprah or somebody like that, and it's on a movie, and it's all whatever, and oh, this is so sweet. Nope, probably not like that. Probably not like that at all. You had to travel in groups when you traveled like this because there were thieves that would be on the road, people with nothing better to do but to beat you up and rob you, and that was a thing. And so they would have to travel in groups. And can you imagine what those conversations are like? Let's go ahead and tap the remote and scroll it back a little bit to round yon virgin, mother, and child. Now, I took biology in the 9th grade. One of those words don't fit. Yep. If you don't know the reference, Google it. I don't know. With the disclaimer, just be careful. You imagine that conversation? See, we don't like to have honest conversations sometimes about the Christmas story because it feels sacrilegious. Let's go ahead and wipe that off the table. Let's have an honest conversation. Imagine that. How's that go? Babe, how was work? It was okay. I got a splinter in my thumb. He was a carpenter. Some of you got it. Yeah. We need to talk. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Remember, they weren't married yet, so he didn't know. He was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's really good. Sort of. I'm pregnant. Yeah. Wait. No. My parents gave me the talk. What? No, sorry. I probably should have led with this. I'm still a virgin. He's like, again, my parents gave me the talk. I was not born yesterday. Sorry, I should have taken it a step. God did this. How do you come back with that? There's no retort for that. There's no argument for that. God did it. All right. What do you do with that? So then, right, he gets revealed to him in a dream. Hey, Joseph, look, I know she said this. I know it's crazy. It's true, though. Then you got to tell mom and dad. Anybody got in-laws? Yeah, that conversation's fun. Babe, we got to tell my parents. All right. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Mary. She's pregnant. Look, I know what you're thinking. Look, we didn't skip a step. It's not mine. And they're like, what? Oh, no, sorry. I know that sounded bad. That probably sounded bad. We're still together. Love her. Pregnant. Still a virgin. It's a God thing. I have a 14-year-old daughter. If she comes to me and says that one day, I'm gonna do what every dad does. Talk to your mom. What do you do with that? So then imagine what was being talked about. Because see, by law, Mary actually didn't have to travel with Joseph to Bethlehem. You didn't know that, did you? She didn't, but she did. Wow. Wow, we never think about that. She could have stayed right there. There was nothing by law that told her she had to. But I wonder if this told her she had to. That's Mary. She's pregnant, but she's still a virgin. So she says. And then they're walking. Can you imagine being Joseph? Oh my goodness. Have you ever been on a road trip before? Your kids fall asleep within 2 minutes. Every kid in the world seems to have narcolepsy when you get in the road. And then they wake up every 30 minutes with this. We there yet? Oh. And then your wife, because, she talks to you all the time, decides that she's also going to take a nap. And you got nobody to talk to. And it's just you. And you still can't change the radio because, she would wake up and know. And so you just think. Imagine being Joseph on this journey. They're walking. Think about it. He's like, this is crazy. God, this is crazy. God, this is crazy. He rolls his ankle on a rock. He's like, oh, come on. Having to go all this way, these stupid taxes, and I got to, it's baby's not even mine. He's getting angry. They're looking around, and the people they're with are like, that's that couple. You ever been there? Yeah, You've been in that, right? You did something, you knew you did something, you walked in a room full of people, and they were like, they stopped talking when you walked in. It's that. What a weird conversation. And then when they get there, doesn't get any better. Because now she was, what does it say? Obviously pregnant. So here comes Mary and Joseph. Hey, look, she's having a baby. I'm sure you can tell. It says obviously, right? And do you got a place for us to stay? They're like, we have some outdoor accommodations for you. And by outdoor, I mean over there. And just ignore those animals. Like it's where they feed them. They're like, you mean the thing they feed the goats in? We're over there? Yeah. Just put yourself in those shoes for just a moment. Imagine, it's that time. This joyous time. You're pregnant. It's time to give birth. You drive to Kaiser. And you walk in. And they say, welcome. You're having a baby. We're so excited for you. So here's what we're going to do. If you go right around here, we're doing some construction right outside. It's where the 3 porta potties are. You can see them right over there. And then you'll see like a bunch of cats and dogs running around. Just don't bother with them. Maybe even feed them if you get a chance. That's fine. But you'll see there's like a bucket. There's a bucket out there. We usually put recyclables in that. Just dump it out. But then you guys can use that. And then we'll be out there to check in on you. We'll send a nurse. Well, not really a nurse. They're in school to be a nurse. They just completed their first semester. They got their gen ed stuff done. But they're going to be there watching over you. And then here's some diapers. They're used, but it's okay. You just flip them inside out. It's fine. You'll be okay. You'd be like, we're going to another hospital, right? That's crazy. And we think about silent night. Nothing was silent about this night. And here's my theory. I think Joseph Moore, German poet who wrote this song, I don't think Joseph Moore had kids. There's a lot of things that come with a newborn baby. Silent nights are not one of those things at all. So, Joe, you could go back and rewrite that one. No way. Can you imagine? You don't even think about it. I mean, goats and sheep and donkeys and cows. Animals are nosy. You notice that? You got a dog? Animals are nosy. I mean, you crack open a Diet Coke and your dog, what you got? Can you imagine? See, now I'm gonna ruin a nativity set for everybody in the room. But this is what I picture. Here's Joseph, silent night, time to give birth. Breathe. Get out of here. You got goats coming up. What you doing? Breathe. Stop. Ha. Next time you look at a nativity set, find one that looks like this. Nothing about this night was silent. And it was time for her to give birth. And she did. And she wrapped him in those swaddling clothes and she put him in that feeding trough. You know what I learned from this silent night? Silent nights usually start out as noisy days. Oftentimes, life gets messy. And we're saying, God, we need some lodging. And God says, I'm going to give you a manger. No. But God, I'm sorry. Let me resubmit my request to you, God. I would like a single room accommodation. I don't even want the curtain. I want just the room to just me. Because pretty big important moment in my life. And he's like, great, here's a manger. I have found this to be true. And I learn it right here in Luke 2. As we break out the family Bible, dust it off, read our Christmas story, maybe for a fresh perspective this Christmas in 2023. Here's what I'm learning from the Christmas story and in life. God will often provide for us exactly what we need in the chaos of our circumstances to remind us that even though we feel like things are out of control, that He's still in control of all things. And He doesn't necessarily clean up the mess, does He? He doesn't. See, we look for external peace. We look for our circumstances to change. And He says, I'm not necessarily going to change your circumstances. I'm going to change your character. And so you're looking for external peace, but I'm going to give you internal peace. And God is telling us, look for the manger in the mess. I'll say it like this. He may not change our habitat, but He changes our hearts. See, Mary and Joseph were looking for some lodging, and it had been hard enough. They got to travel because of taxes. That's just an annoyance. It started with a virgin telling her fiance she was pregnant. And then put it on God. And then he got that confirmation. And so at that point, he's in. And then what happened? Every single step, there was difficulty. Every single step, there was resistance. Every single step, there was struggle. And they finally get to where they're going. Have you felt that relief before, where you're on this journey and you finally get to where you're going and you're thinking, yes, God, we've got there. And you get there and you're expecting something that you really want. And He says, I've got something that you really need. See, God often inserts Himself into the mess with the manger. That's what I've found. So what do we do with that? How do we lace up our shoes with that? Because I'll be candid with you, as a preacher, you read the Christmas story and you think to yourself, how do I help people take steps in their journey with Jesus when we read the Christmas story? And I'll tell you why that's hard. Please raise your hand if you've ever been a pregnant virgin. I was checking for the band just in case. None of us, but all of us have more in common with a pregnant virgin than we think. Because all of us have found ourselves in the middle of a mess. And God says, look, I may not fix the mess, but I'm going to send a manger. God, my marriage isn't what I want it to be. I don't know what to do. And He says, well, have you considered praying for your spouse and maybe serving your spouse? Yeah, but I really want all the stuff that's on the other side of that. And He says, all right, here's a manger. God, this person hurt me. They wronged me. And I want the dynamic of our relationship to change. So God, change them. Yeah, we prayed that. I saw some nods. And He says, great, you can forgive them. Here's a manger in the form of forgiveness. You're like, sorry, God, let me resubmit my request. I'd really like for you to fix them. I'm good. You need to fix them. He's like, great, here's a feeding trough for animals. Hop in, do some work. God, I'm worried about my job 3 or 4 months from now because I really want it to change and I want this. And he's like, great, here's a manger. Why don't you be a light today where you are? Why don't you serve today where you are? Why don't you do your work as you're doing it unto me right where you are today? God, there's a lot of things changing around me. I don't like it. I'm angry about it. I'm confused about it. I'm anxious about it. I don't know what's going to happen, God. I've got changes at home. I've got changes at work. I've got changes at church. I've got changes in my family dynamic. I don't know what to do. I need you to fix. I need you to fix the mess. I need you to fix the mess. I need you to fix the mess. And he's like, great, here's a manger. Here's a manger. Here's a manger. Here's a manger. You can trust me. You can forgive. You can serve them. You can pray for them. You can show kindness. You can be patient. And God's handing out mangers in the middle of messes. So what do we do with that? We look for the manger in the mess. Here's what I'm learning in life too. Oftentimes, God gives us what we need to do in the form of giving us what we need right now. Think about it. Mary needed to give birth. What do? There's no inn available. Here's a manger. Okay, God, I'll trust this. Because here's what happens. We learn what to do next when we look for what God is providing now. Because when we look at what God is providing now, we worry less about what he will provide next. Because as we do the next right thing, as God gives us what we need to show us what we need to do, every step, we learn to trust him more. So when you look for the manger in the middle of the mess, God reminds you, I can provide. But you're looking for the mess to get fixed. But I'm going to give you a manger because I need you to trust me. See, Mary and Joseph were told something really fascinating about Jesus. See, it gets even crazier than just a pregnant virgin, doesn't it? That's crazy enough. I think we can all accept that. We've all seen the Discovery Channel. We all understand. Pregnant virgin, that's nuts. Never been done in the history of the world. That's right. Okay, at baseline, we understand the ridiculousness of that. And you're like, he can't say that. He's a pastor. It's a Christmas story. No. That's ridiculous. It is biologically not okay. Like, not happening, doesn't happen. But it did. And I'll tell you right now, I 100% Christmas shirt, Christmas socks and all, believe it. Add to that, pregnant virgin, and then they were told, oh, BT dub, that Messiah that your granddaddy sang about and gave those folk songs about and passed down in stories, that's the baby. What? Yeah, that's the Christ. So I put this in modern context and I think, what a Thanksgiving dinner conversation that would have been. Here's Dad at the end of the table. So you're pregnant. You say you're a virgin, huh? And he just stares at Joseph. He stares right over his green bean casserole. Through him. She's a virgin. He's like, But you know what I hear there? I hear an anchor of hope. Because as silly as it is, push, yeah, you know what he's thinking? This is the Christ. It's the Christ. So his hope was in it. So when we see Jesus, we can trust the manger in the mess because it's anchored to a hope that only Jesus provides. So if you want to know what to do in the chaos and messiness of these silent nights, if you're looking for a silent night in the middle of a noisy day, look for the manger in the mess because it's a trustworthy manger. And when you honor God with those decisions now, you will trust him with the decisions next. Let's pray. God, thank you again for your word. Thank you for this Christmas story, God. Wow. Wow, what a blessing it is to know this. We get to celebrate it. But God, maybe for some of us in a new way, we have seen this story in a way that speaks to us, maybe for the first time ever, that the Christmas story is a story of hope. But the beautiful thing about hope is that hope always requires trust. And that you give that hope to us so that we can trust you and look for the manger in the mess. God, I know there's some messes going on because we're messy people. There's sickness, there's loss, there's struggle, there's confusion, there's anger, there's hurt, there's frustration, and there's fear. God, there's messes everywhere, here and everyone watching online, everyone within earshot of this conversation. There's a mess. God, we're looking for the mangers. God, show us where the mangers are. And then give us the courage to trust you with the manger in the mess. Show us what you're providing right now, what we need, so that we know what we need to do as we look to how you provide. And then in that, help us look ahead with hope. Just like Mary and Joseph did when they looked ahead with hope in that manger, in that mess, they knew, God, this is forever because you are changing the world with Jesus, because Jesus changes everything. So if we're going to put our stock in forever, we can trust the manger in the mess. Remind us of that this Christmas season, God. God, as you have gifted that to us, we give this time back to you in worship. It's in your name we pray. Amen.